wanted to share something with you. This might bring some of you back down old. What the? That's a British car. It's a British car. That's one of them bobbies, lorries, dories, potties. What are the? I don't remember. I just seen a British car. I'm very sorry. But we're gonna get to the Luigi news. But I wanted to show you something cool that I found on the internet. The internet's pretty cool sometimes. Guys, look at this. These are the pager codes that we used to have. Beepers either look like that or like this. And there were all these codes. Look, all the codes. I don't remember 157 being keep in touch. I forget some of them, but we all knew 911 was emergency. 411 was, hey, what's up? This is a very early 90s, this is a very mid-90s infographic. Are you value-tained? Are you not value-tained? So I thought that was cool. I wanted to show it with you. Show it to you. Show it with you? I wanted you to be with me when I showed it. I got my deep fake glasses. Don't worry, folks. Don't worry. The deep fake glasses are here. If you don't know, I found these on the parking lot ground at a Restoration Hardware. What is that store anyways? I found these in the parking lot at a abandoned Chili's. It was at an abandoned Chili's. I was seeing if they sell the bloomin' onion. Is that at Chili's? Who does the bloomin' onion? I forget. Crikey Barrel? No, it's Cracker Barrel. Do they have an Australian Cracker Barrel called Crikey Barrel? What is the Australian one? The Land Down Under? What is the who does the bloomin' onion? My Christ. Isn't there an Australian chain restaurant? Or did it go under? Did private equity buy it and put it under? I really hope Australia has a Cracker Barrel type restaurant that's called Crikey Barrel. I very much pray for that. God, if you can hear me. Anyways, he's not listening. He ignores my live streams. He's too busy. But yeah, I wanted to show you this because I thought this was amazing. Amazing. 143, we all know I love you. 187, I hate you. Goodbye. Then you could type. This we used to be skilled. You could type with numbers. You flipped it upside down, or you did a certain spelling, you know, GOODNIGHT. Us kids had we figured it out. So I want to share that with you because that made me very reminiscent. We're going to go over the Luigi news. Big Luigi news. He went to court today. It's not a joke. No, it's not. Very serious. Luigi news. I don't have my sound bites in front of me, so I can't. Well, I don't even have a Luigi song. I should probably write a Luigi song because there's probably going to be more updates coming, but we're going to get to it. Mel, Applebee's does the blooming. Is it Applebee's? Isn't there what's that? Mel, Bandito, what is there's Applebee's, Chili's, what's the Australian themed chain restaurant? Does anybody know? Isn't there an Australian one, or am I losing my mind? Maybe I'm losing my mind. I swore there was an Australian Outback. Oh, Christ. Thank you, Bandito. I was like, oh my God. Maybe I've lost it, and I imagined the Outback chain restaurant in my head. Holy cripes. Oh, hold on. I want to get a good spot. Hold on. Nobody move. Everybody stay cool, man. Stay cool. Everybody stay cool, all right? There we go. All right. We got the good spot. The bloomin' bunions. Sassy Mo, what's up? Well, the reason why the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, because I was saying I found my deepfake AI detection goggles at an abandoned Chili's parking lot. I don't know why I said that. I was lying. I made it all up, guys. I made it all up. And then I went down a whole because that's why. Because I was calling it the Crikey Barrel. I thought Outback's name was the Crikey Barrel, and I was thinking of America's Cracker Barrel, which I've never been to. I don't even know. Is it a restaurant? Is it a secondhand shop? I don't even know what Cracker Barrel is. I know there's a big hubbub over it, but I could not tell you. Is it like the white trash Chuck E. Cheese? Are there like old PDF files that sit on that chair that was in their logo, and they're like, come here and sit on my lap? I could not tell you what a Cracker Barrel is. Never seen one, never been to one. Don't know. Is it like a trailer park cheesecake factory? Is that what Cracker Barrel is? I'm guessing, they have 4,000 kinds of grits. I don't know. Has anybody been to a Cracker Barrel? That's not a knife. Great movie. Great reference. We got to get that. We got to get that as a sound drop. Remind me when I'm back at the computer. Today, not at the computer. Also, I got to say a very special happy birthday to a very special someone. That's all the information you get. What are you trying to mine me for data? What are you, Elon Musk in the government? Get out of here. So yeah, I thought Outback, Bandito, and everybody who's just joining, I thought Outback was called the Crikey Barrel. I was like, is it called the Crikey Barrel? Does Australia have a Cracker Barrel that's called the Crikey Barrel? Because it only seems like it would make sense. I wish, hey, listen, if you're in Australia and you're private equity, it might be a good time to invent a thing called the Crikey Barrel, where it's like an alligator. You go to a restaurant and there's one alligator in the center of the restaurant that you could throw your scraps to. And, probably a child will fall in the pit and then they have to close it down. Big thing that I'm making up in my head right now. Anyways, big news. Big news for Luigi. Luigi Mangione. Luigi Mangione Bone. Hold on one second. I gotta do something. Am I here? Am I here? You bunch of hippies? I hope you took the back door. Remember going to those fancy boutique shops where they had the sign? Listen, if you're going to listen to music that loud, at least put on Hall & Oates. Not like, that sounded like a Carnival Barker song. You know what I mean? Did you guys hear that? That was so loud. That was so loud that, if you're going to play something that loud, play it where we can all sing along. If you're going to do that. What were we talking about again? Luigi Mangione. Luigi Manitoba. What's his name? I forget. I just know, I think his name is Free Luigi. State government name, Free Luigi. And we're going to talk about the news. But first, let's do a little meme thing. I wanted to show you this. I found this on the internet. We always go over the memes of the day. This is the meme of the day. I'm a Republican. I was against gun safety until my husband got. I opposed gay rights until my daughter came out. I fought stem cell research until Ronnie, old jelly bean Ron, I think that's what they call him, got Alzheimer's. I'm a Republican, which means I won't give a rip about you until it happens to me. That's Nanner Reagan. I believe they called her Nanner. Nana Reagan. Horrible human being. Garbage poop. That's what she acted like. She acted like a garbage poop. She acted like if a raccoon went into your garbage to fish out old pizza boxes and empty DVD bins, and it saw something that it rejected. It said, I'm a raccoon, but I have standards. It would be Nancy Reagan, because she really was, the epitome of I don't care unless it happens to me. She probably smells like farts too. Doesn't she look like that? She looks a little bit like, she just farted, but she's going to give you that look and not say anything. And you're going to be like, maybe it just stunk in here. Maybe it's always smelled like that. And I didn't get used to it. That's the look that somebody gives you when they're passing gas, when they're pooping in their diaper, and they're looking at you like it was you. Probably. Anyways, Big Luigi news, guys. This is huge, okay? This is probably the biggest news of the minute. What minute is it? 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. Autumn solstice, latitude, longitude. So this is probably the biggest news of the minute. I think it was breaking. Rancy Nagin. That's her name. Thank you, Bandito. It's Rancid Nagin. That was her name. Her government name. She went by old never mind. I gotta shut my mouth sometimes. Sometimes I get into these situations where I say, in my head, I say, just shut that thing that's a little below the eyes. Just shut it. Just keep it shut and just hum if you need to make sounds. And I go, Randy Fulcher. That can't be a real name. That is the only time I supported liberals is Luigi. Help the rich learned that they are not safe. I think Luigi's like a center-right dude. Like, if you look at the books he was reading, like Patrick Bet David is obviously like a far-right pretending to be a centrist. But Randy, I gotta clear this up. Liberals aren't leftists, and leftists don't condone violence. We want a safer world. We want America to be what, like, Europe is, like guaranteed paid vacation, guaranteed parental leave. It's amazing when I hear some of these right-wingers, and you heard them say it all the time. You heard them say, like, where's the parent? When I was growing up, it was like video games, Metallica, and where's the parent? And then I got to the age where I was like, oh, it's interesting. They don't guaranteed parental leave in America, but in every other country that's like similar to America, it's guaranteed. You get like 6 months, a year, 2 years. I think America should try to challenge the rest of the world to outdo them and be like, we're guaranteeing the first 5 years paid parental leave at home so you can raise your kid, the most crucial time, first 5 years. That's what I'm an advocate for. So I hope everybody, liberalism is left-wing. No. Liberalism means if you scratch a liberal, a fascist bleeds. That's what that means. I've heard that online, and it's pretty much true when you hear these liberals celebrate racists. But we gotta. Well, see, here's the thing. I get a lot of people in the comments that have been propagandized by American content and American media their whole life. So they think, they're like, ooh, that guy said, I'm trying to think what's like a quintessential, like, oh, he's leftist. Okay, here's a dumb one. People will be like, oh, what did Elon said? Empathy is the great weakness of Western civilization. Loose quote. Anyways, and then like, people still think Elon's a little center left. Remember when Elon, do you guys remember when Elon was like, I have no political affiliation? Remember when that CEO tech giant who would union bust before he started buying politicians claimed that he wasn't, far right or from a far right lineage, where his grandfather left Canada to go to apartheid South Africa, or that he wasn't from apartheid South Africa? Without empathy, you can't be a Christian. Thank you, Lady Wiser, and you are the Lady Wiser. Who pays for the 5 years of leave? Well, Mike Dankenbring, I'm going to bring the dank. Guess what? The corporations do, Mike. The corporations do. Don't start simping on me now, going, well, how will Target buy all those stocks back? How is Bill Gates not going to buy all the farmland? Oh, remember the leave Britney alone girl? Don't start leave Britney alone with how is Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson going to race to Mars? They're going to pay for it. They've already spent $100 billion on stock buybacks. They can fucking afford it. Okay. So if you're going to simp for these corporations to not pay for it, they're gonna, and prices aren't going to go up. You know how I know? Because they've been raising prices for the past 20 years and minimum wage hasn't fucking budged. All right? So just shut up with that. I don't I don't take kindly to the CEO doormats that some of these Americans love to be. I'm for raising kids in the home, and the corporations who you dedicate your life to, they're like, you gotta work here if you want that health. You want to have a baby and not pay $2 billion? Well, you gotta work here. It's like the least they could do is pay for the first 5. They give you, I think in Sweden, they give you 60% of your salary for 2 years. It's like, yeah, they can do that. They can easily do that. We make stock buybacks illegal. Oh, look at that crow in the middle of the street hopping around. You ever seen a crow run? I know it's a little ADD, but I just saw a crow run, and it's the most adorable little hop, skip, and a jump you've ever seen. I get the Tide part, but what kind of detergent was the other part? Sean, you're in the wrong live. Anyways, comes out of our work time. No, there's no, we're not going to do that, J Izzo Infinity. I appreciate what you're saying, but look up how they do it in Europe. The amazing thing is somebody posted this transcript of an interview, and they were like, this American moved, or they were talking about your work in Europe, and they were like, well, you got sick once you got a job. How did you have your sick time? Because here in America, you get, by law, again, regulations for all you people who work for someone and claim to be a libertarian, stop being dumb. Okay, libertarians are like Palantir, Alex Karp, Elon Musk, the people that own everything. Because they're like, what you're saying when you're a libertarian, you're like, I don't want government to regulate. What does that mean? Well, here's a regulation that companies have to give you 1 hour of sick time for every 30 hours you work. So you only get to earn that once you've worked 30 hours. If you haven't worked 30 hours, you don't get to be sick. So with that premise in your head, now that we have the baseline, I want you to understand that in Europe, there was this interview or something I was reading, and they were like, oh, you took a new job and you got sick. And they were like, yeah, your boss just expects you to stay home and they pay you to be home. They were like, oh, you didn't earn your sick time? And they were like, it's such a foreign concept. But this is what I talk about when I talk about people being propagandized to think this is normal, because your parents grow up with it, and then you grow up with it, and then you teach your kids to grow up with it, and you need to break the cycle. It's like abuse. You need to break the cycle. The CEOs are abusing you. If someone has a baby once a year, they're only working 6 months a baby. Well, doesn't all the Republicans want a bunch of babies? There's really no argument against this, folks. Everybody, good try, but there's no argument. Because if you believe in population decline, and then you say, we're proposing 5 years paid parental leave, everybody's going to be having babies. And then, boom, population incline. Right? So, suck it, Elon. I win. I win that debate. Let's say, hypothetical Ben Shapiro, let's say I won that debate. Because you can't argue with it. And they have the money because they're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on stock buybacks, which is nothing but artificially inflating their stock. Elon Musk is going to be a trillionaire. He just bought $100 billion of Tesla stock, or $1 billion of Tesla stock. And then what do you know? He bought all the Tesla stock, and then stock soared. Again, stock buybacks were illegal until 1982 when that bitch, Rancy Nagin, and her husband made them legal again. So the more you know. I feel like this should be an after school special. Curtis, what's up, man? Good to see you. Big bad Bane says, get a job, loser. No, you go get a job. Piss off. Get off YouTube. You should be working your third job. That's what you guys believe. Yeah, because get a job, loser. Look, he got a job. What a cool individual. Shut up. Shut your mouth. I love it. We know who the corporate bots are in the chat. The ones who are like, God damn it, if this kid's ideology gets out to the other workers, they're all going to demand it. And he's like, ugh. I'm sitting in my luxury apartment doing my pre-morning workout and routine before they fly me on my private jet to my CEO job. I got to go and crush all this. I need to convince more 19-year-olds to be libertarians so I can abolish any kind of workers' rights their grandparents and great parents earned for them through death and struggle, so I could trick them into not having any rights and never getting a sick day. Like, shut the fuck up. Get out of here. This isn't Big Bane or whatever your name is. This isn't the live stream for you. Let me just say that, friend. Okay, this isn't for everybody. Some people need to hear like, hey, you should be working a third job to get a Lamborghini that you have to finance, and that's a real alpha, and you need to go there. You can't hear what I'm saying. Although I got a lot of the answers. The problem with people on the left is they're just correct way too early. It's like, oh, population decline. I got an idea. You pay people more. You don't gatekeep healthcare. And then you give them 5 years off, paid 60% by the company for parental leave. So they can raise their kids until their kids go to kindergarten. Let's test it. Here's the thing. We've never done it in America. So before you poo-poo it, let's just try that and see if it works. Okay? Why can't we try it? And then nobody has an answer. They just go, no, with my tax dollars. Why? You want your tax dollars to keep going to SpaceX's blowing up rockets over the sea? Like, how about we just defund that, Shut up. Okay, so New York judge Luigi went to court today. Okay? And this New York state of judge, Billy Joel, for all you fans. I'm not, you hear Piano Man, you're like, the lick is tasty, but, is it exhaustive? Yeah, Piano Man's exhaustive. New York judge tosses terrorism charge against Luigi Mangione. I believe that's how you pronounce it, in United Healthcare CEO Merking. So in the ruling, in a written something, judge something, I can't read it, sorry, there's stuff blocking it, hit subscribe, notification bell, said that although there is no doubt that the was not an ordinary street crime, New York law doesn't consider something simply because it was motivated by ideology. Quote, while the defendant was clearly expressing an animus towards United Healthcare, I just think towards the healthcare system in general, and the healthcare industry generally. Oh, okay, so the judge agrees. It does not follow that his goal was to, quote, intimidate and coerce a civilian population. And indeed, there was no evidence presented of such a goal. Caro wrote, Judge Gregory Caro. Well, I agree with you, Judge. Good call, ref. Keep playing, boys. So free Luigi, innocent until proven guilty. But remember all the hubbub, especially this fascist regime, was like, we're going to go after those T charges, the terror charge. I'll just call it the Fat Joe charge, because Fat Joe, if you're familiar with 90s hip hop, it was the terror squad. So the Fat Joe charge. Was it Fat Joe I'm thinking of? Is he the one that does the major MLM, the multi-level marketing now? Absolute rubbish. Like scam, grift stuff. I'm pretty sure. So the Fat Joe charge. And the reason why you saw all that and them even trying to pin those charges to him, because they want the 1%. Because remember, all the CEOs got terrified. They got scared, hired extra security, all this yada, yada, yada. They want the 1% to be a protected class. What does that say about you and me? Well, what does that really reflect on society, I would ask? That they value people with money more than everybody else. We saw this on Fox News this week. That Kill Me person we talked about yesterday had some heinous comments to say about people who just don't have a home. That's it. You don't have a home, and this is what they think of you. Well, I mean, it's reflected in the comments. Hopefully Big Bad Bane left. But, I see it in the comments all the time. Get a job, loser. Saying that people without a job are losers. That's a weird way to, it's a weird way to look at things. Or I get the people who go, get a real job. Like what? Joe Rogan, the guy you look up to? Get a podcasting job? It's so demented that people don't see their own irony. I don't know. Joe Zempic. I call him Polio Rogan. The Polio Rogan program. Paul White Folks Wallace, Bronx River Projects in the building, birthplace of hip hop. Well, if that is true, you never know with the comments, but if, and I believe because the way you put it in all caps, then much respect. Very grateful for the birth of hip hop. And we just talked about, was it the 13th? Tupac, the greatest of all time. No argument, no debate. There's no debate for this on this channel. Tupac, philosopher, poet, activist, actor, and hip hop all around connoisseur. The anniversary of his passing, gone too soon. Yummers, don't be mean. That's what I tell them in the comments. Don't be mean. Stop being mean to me. Stop telling me to get a job and a career. There is no difference. Jay Izzo Infinity. Listen, in America, I understand what you're saying, Jay. Speaking Jay to the Izzo, did you guys see the article? I didn't want to talk about it, but it was an article about how Beyonce and Jay-Z were having dinner with the daughter Trump, whatever her name is, the one that the dad's always perverting over, Ivanka. I don't know their names. You know, the Russian names. One of the Russian names. They were sitting with Kushner and her. I couldn't believe it. Oh, what's up, Crushed Ice? Good to see you. Curtis. No, I'm going to get a fake job. But I understand Jay saying there's a difference between a job and a career. But here's the thing that a lot of people are finding out in America. There is no longer a difference. Corporations have eroded workers' rights. That's why you don't get Christmas bonuses. That's why, you know, your retirement's gone. That's why they're diving into Social Security, because you cannot satiate greed. We have enough for everyone, but you can't satiate the greedy. And the CEOs always want to meet Wall Street's expectations. So figure it. Listen, there's stories about Elon Musk becoming a first trillionaire. That's like a real story news is reporting on. He won capitalism, folks. I mean, at that point, like this is what people don't get because they become desensitized and normalized to it. But with all that stripping, a job, your career is just a job now, because there's now a layoff season in America. There's been more layoffs and more job unemployment in this year than there has in the past, 5 since the last regime. So it's unfortunate, you know, because you can get a career, but these corporations treat you like a job, you know. And most places treat it like a job. And this is why we really need some class consciousness, you know, because the dollar is dying. The dollar is gone, man. In the past 5 years, since 2020, your dollar is worth 75 cents. So if you haven't gotten a raise, that money that 5 years ago was worth $1 is now worth 75 cents, and probably after this year worth even less. So I tell people, if you're going to get a raise, you ask for at least 26% more, which is unheard of because they've normalized a 2 to 3% raise, which is bogus because that don't even keep up with the rate of inflation. You can't even buy the same cereal you bought last year for that. And if you don't believe me, here, I read the Luigi thing. Well, let's just get into it. All right. Even Fox News poll shows voters think Trump screwed the economy. And we're going to talk about some of this stuff because that's what we're doing. Look at that. Beef prices up 13% over August last year. So if you didn't get a 13% raise, well, if you didn't get a 14% raise and you buy beef, guess what? You got negative value of your money. Beef steaks up more than 16%. Apples up more than 9.6%. That sucks. I love apples, especially this time of year. Coffee prices jumped more than 20%. Even egg prices, you know the thing, the huge deal, the presidential election, are up over almost 11% over last August. Now, don't get mad at me. I know there's people that just go, rah, 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 rah. This is USA Today. Link in the description. Read it yourself. Leave it in the comments of their thing. I'm just commenting on it, okay? I know this shit because I have to pinch every penny and spend every dollar specifically, and I buy the same stuff. If you're like me and you buy the same food, whatever it is, you have things that you go and buy, you've known. You don't need a news story to tell you, oh shit, this is way more expensive. The same companies want everyone to be happy back in the office. For what? To lay us off? They got to pay rent on those buildings. Most of them don't own those buildings. So if you are working from remote, they're paying for a building that nobody is in. But yeah, then they bring you all back in only to lay off. They're like, those tariffs are making the economy a little wishy-washy. I don't trust things. Everybody laid off. Go home. And then they collect on the insurance, probably some kind of business insurance. Crystal Hazer. Also, promotions are rare and people from outside industries or regions are brought in to be the supervisors or managers, leaving people who have been at the company for 10 plus years at a lower level of pay. Crystal, 100%. This is one of the things I talk about. It's a federally protected as of in the year of our Lord, 2025. And I've said this for a long time. It's a federally protected right of you as a worker to share your salary. And I try to share this with everybody because the more you know, it's like that Mark Wahlberg flick, The Departed, where he's like, the feds treat you like mushrooms, feed you shit and keep you in the dark. That's what corporations want you to do. They don't want you to talk about your pay with other workers. They don't want you to know that the person that just came in, a new hire, is getting paid the same amount as you, even though you've been there for 10 years. Because as soon as you figure that out, you go, oh, there's a real big issue right now. Real big issue right now. But when I teach people that, sometimes they go, and I've heard back from people where they're like, you know how you told us to talk about it? And your boss could say, oh, don't do that. But and you go, well, look it up. It's a law. You don't tell me to, you're not going to violate my rights. You're not going to tell me to break the law. So that is federally protected, again, as of right now. If these young folks keep thinking they're libertarians and don't want regulations, maybe they'll outlaw it. I don't know. So do it while you can, folks. But Crystal, you're right. And it's good. Jerry Rice is in the chat. Desi Corvus. It is so expensive. I feel that. And I feel the little meme face, the emojicon right after that. Oregon and Washington, cherry farmers might be non-existent in 2 years. Oh, that breaks my heart to hear, Michael. Oh, good to see you. They usually lay off so you don't get the raise you deserve. True, J to the Izzo, I to the infinity. That is very true. Or they give you a new title, which just happens to not get the raise that you were expecting. But this new title is a great responsibility. I watched that happen in radio. There were massive layoffs every year, layoffs right around December in radio. Hey, slow down, you doing the popping the wheelies. Look at that guy with no helmet on, popping a wheelie. I think that's illegal in Massachusetts. You should have a helmet on. You should always wear a helmet. Wear your helmet. Protect your head. Maybe, his mom didn't teach him that, which, again, this is why I advocate for paternal time off, maternity leave, because we got dum-dums riding around with no helmet on, popping wheelies on the main drag. Anyways, but yeah, that breaks my heart to see the cherry farmers. These farms have been part of rural economy since the territories were incorporated as states. Well, the terrifying thing for me, Michael, is what happens after. This is what I've done throughout my career, and I was talking about radio, and what I was saying is I've seen them lay off a bunch of people, give new titles, but really it just meant now you do 3 jobs and you don't get 3 times the pay. That's one of the things that the union I was fighting for. What we were trying to do is when people call out or you're doing the job of 2 people, you get double the pay. Only makes sense, right? That's only common sense. And of course, corporations, $1 million corporations, will fight you tooth and nail. They'll spend more on union busting than they will if they had just given you what they wanted. So I seen that. So be careful of the tricks. That's the other thing I try to bring to your attention. And I have helped people out with negotiations and prepping for these things. So if you ever reach out in the Discord, when the lawless rule, lawlessness abounds. President Reagan, good to see you. But yeah, Michael, what I always worry about when he says the cherry farmers who are going to be non-existent in 2 years, and he says these have been such a long part of our history that they were before states were incorporated in America. And what terrifies me, what comes next? Because if they're going to lose the cherry farm right now, most people, even people who don't consider themselves working class but are, even 6-figure salary people, people on the higher end, they're still struggling. That's why the New York Times, I think it was, came up with the term recession and greedflation happens because corporations are just raising prices. The profit margins are getting bigger, not just the profits. But they came up with a recession, meaning the rich people are even feeling the effects of what's going on. And what worries me is that Who buys that? For all you who like to, what's up, Orpheus? Good to see you. It's been a while. Very good to have you here. Lady Wiser, thank you. Double tap the thumb, hit subscribe, then hit the notification bell because I'm here 5 days a week, sometimes on the weekends. And I always bring my deepfake glasses just in case you were wondering. I found these at the parking lot of an abandoned Chili's. I put them on and I could identify deepfakes. It was amazing. But what we're talking about is the cherry farmers in Washington and Oregon. Good old American jobs, right? You gotta do it like the Republicans propagandize. Who's gonna be there when the good old American cherry farmers are gone? Well, what scares me is what comes next, because it's not going to be another cherry farmer going to buy up that land. It's not going to be another mom and pop. It's very rare right now. Everybody's struggling. Everybody, 86% of Americans are worried about the cost of groceries. So who comes in? People like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates. What's the other one? You know, that clique. They come in and they have these shell companies where they buy up all the land, they buy up all the stuff, they turn it into a corporate thing. So those cherry farmers can go back to work on the cherry farms that they used to do for themselves, only for less money, not locally owned, not locally grown, through a corporation thing where they probably inseminate some Agent X or whatever kind of new, bug killer they got that is going to put you microplastics in you. And then, they don't own that anymore. And it's all owned by some conglomerate. Is that the word? That BlackRock owns 46% of or some shit. Turtle Man, I've gone over that a ton of times. He was a racist who advocated for the status quo, The horrifying thing for me is that's the first school thing that Republicans care about, that you see them taking action, not the right action, not any kind of control reform or, addressing stuff like that. But it's just maddening. It really is, because there was another one that same day and people have become normalized to it. And that's horrifying. As a parent, I just speak as a parent now. Okay. As a parent, the fact that kids got to go to school and do these drills is terrifying. That's not the America I grew up in. That's not the America we have to accept. And somehow everybody in a very short time, from what was it, 90, I forget when the Colorado one happened, Columbine, I forget. But I mean, we're talking like a 20-year span. Everyone just got real normal with it. And we don't have to be, we don't have to be. And the most horrifying thing about the dude you're talking about is I'm not at the computer, but he's on audio saying that's just the unfortunate part of this. And I'm like, damn, I don't know if he was just paid too much to say shit like that and propagandize people to stay normal with it, because he wasn't an activist. Activists try to fight for something better, something different. But to propagandize, to just be okay with the status quo. And, it's so sad. It's so sad because he's probably young enough. I'm a little bit older, but I'm old enough to remember when that was like a horrifying thing and we thought shit would change, and it just hasn't. And now people are just okay. They're just like, another one, as long as it's not my neighborhood. That's what it is. This is how it's Republicans and Republican lights in America. And there's no real left or opposition or dissent, because everyone's just like, it's kind of what it is. As long as it didn't happen in my neck of the woods. And then as soon as it happens in their neck of the woods, everyone's like, but it's horrifying, because that shouldn't have to happen. You should just be like, this is my country. America deserves better than this. There's no other nation this is happening at our schools, and we deserve so much better. Thank you, Miss Ayami, if I pronounce that right. But I heard someone say that he lost the gun debate by a long shot. And I thought that was interesting, if you get it. Stryker says racism is flawed criticism. I went over this. Turtle Man, I think any accuse you disagree with someone is crazy. Much love from work. I'm not condoning anything. Again, my whole premise before this even happened, this is the craziest part. It's like My whole thing is like, we shouldn't live in a society where this happens. The people condoning it are the ones that are in control and not doing stuff to change the laws where it's restricting, you know, so we're replicating what the other countries have. So, and the craziest thing is the more the news comes out, it was like, it was infighting within that party, the deep red party. It's so crazy, you know? Michael O, they'll definitely be buying up the land. Definitely be up the land for speculation, though. You mean the, not a high enough profit margin. They'll just let the industry die. Corporate will let them grow where it's cheaper. Well, yeah, see, and this is, I don't know much about charter farming. I figured they come in and they do it for rock bottom prices. This is why, you know, you have these seasonal workers that come in. I figured they'll find a way to make it profitable. Kenny Smith says they loved it when it's Paul Pelosi. That's what I mean. So, Kenny, when I talk about like a Republican culture, it's like, as long as it's not their team, this is why I try to convince people, stop thinking team politics, guys. If any team you're on the working class party, you're on the party of the bottom, you're not part of the 10%, and the 10% is making all the rules and paying people a lot of money to convince you, like, yeah, this is just normal, this is okay. Until it happens to them, then they're up in arms. And what do they want to do? That's the other thing that's all over the news today. They don't want to change any laws where it could help make people safer. They want to crack down on what people are saying. It's such a bizarro world that, like, media organizations, because they're terrified of this regime, aren't like, this is nuts. This is fucking nuts. That instead of being like, hey, we got to, like, regulate stuff. No other country. Go watch Friendly Jordies. He's an Australian. He makes I think I shared it in my, if you hit subscribe and notification bell, I shared it in my community post. I watch other YouTubers. I watch this other dude, the Cavernacle from the UK. I watch these people who talk about America like, what a bizarro world. Like, do they not know that we don't deal with this stuff at schools? Like, kids can just go to school and not have to do these drills, if you know what I mean. And somehow, I have a lot of hope in the youth, but this is one of those things where it's like, until you've been told you're normalized to think that this is normal, people aren't waking up. Real definition of homeless is not owning a home. Yeah. It's a big club. You're not in it. George Carlin, thank you. That is mandatory listening and reading for this channel. You have homework now. If you just subscribe, do your homework, listen to George Carlin. Turtleman Gaming, do you own Palantir if you identify as a libertarian? Because you also advocate for more mental health, which I do too. And let me tell you, libertarians would strip any access to healthcare the second they have it. Why? Because it's not profitable, you know? You read the stories about healthcare right now, they're getting worried about health expenses, because the more they have to pay for people to be healthy, the less profit margin they make. I can't explain all this, but Turtle Man, I really pray for you to understand that unless you own a Fortune 500 company, it's not in your best interest as a worker to be a libertarian. They want to strip regulations. So regulations are the reason we have clean air. Go look at, you know, some places in like India or China where there are no regulations with that because business got to overcome whatever. Look at, like, if you have an iPhone, you can go to the air index, and then scroll around the world and check the air index. So the way we have clean air, clean water, how workers have rights, how, you know, well, a lot of states are eroding these rights, but these are things that libertarians want to get rid of. When they talk about regulation, they use like a flashy culture war version of regulation that makes you think, yeah, why would the government not let them build more homes? Well, here's some news for you. There's 25 empty homes for every single homeless person there is in America. So they use these non like real arguments to try to convince you you're just like us, and you're not. So I encourage you to just, you know, hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. Wait, Skippy? This guy wants to mooch off the taxpayer like a schlub. Yeah, Skippy, like Eamon said. Emanon, you mean like the Arkansas soy boy farmers? By the way, Skippy, I'm a taxpayer. It's just a dumb argument. I won't go into it. Mooch off the taxpayer. Say that about Elon. He's taken more money from the taxpayer than I could ever in a million lifetimes. So shut your mouth. Not a real argument. Kids, you're perfect the way God made you. I agree. You know, I agree. And that's why I say the land of the free should be the land of you can be who you want to be. Be what you are. Marry who you want to be. That's, all these people can, Anyways, shit's more expensive. The big news today, so far. Oh, did you see this? They're not forgetting. I fucking love that this is the protest, the activist group. Everyone hates Elon. They put up this at Windsor Castle ahead of a state visit. I didn't know there was a state visit plan. Look at those chins. Look at those chubby chubbies. Look at those chubby chubbies. It's like a couple of fat kids at a fat camp. Doesn't it look like that? I know it's the perspective, but still. A couple of chubbos. Look at them chubbos. Wah, wah. But I don't know if you saw this. And this is reported, by the way, link down below. It's Canadian TV news, CTV. Canada's reporting on this. Of course, America's not gonna. That's the one thing Trump loves right now. That's why the day after you saw him dancing to the YMCA, jagging those giraffes. He's so happy there's a distraction from this because he's in the files, and this protest group, Everyone Hates Elon, does amazing work, like putting up these big photos, huge photos. I think that's a person, just for perspective. That's so funny. And then if you didn't see, hit subscribe, notification bell. Judge tosses that charge against Luigi because, again, wealthy people and CEOs were like, oh, it's got to be that charge. And the judge was like, no, this was not, his goal is not to intimidate and coerce a civilian population. You guys get what I'm saying. You know the words. Sing along if you know them. Anyways. Yep, the GOP, the guardians of the PDF files. Stop protecting them, hold them responsible. It's amazing that most of the people in charge, almost all of them, are protecting these people, denying to release the file. If you want to really have some fun, I watch RM Brown. He's hilarious. But if you watch his older videos, he comments on like Patrick Bet-David, Glenn Beck, Tim Pool. He comments on all these people. And if you listen to some of the videos from like 10 months ago, they're all like, the Epstein files are good, or when was January? 9 months ago, sorry. If you know what I mean. If you listen when Trump get inaugurated to videos that were coming out then, they're all like, the Epstein files will be released in 10 days in its entirety. Like all this hardcore, like they're dropping the files. Are you guys ready? And it's like, man, I just want to play those clips back for those people and go, what changed? What changed? What changed? Ah, that's funny. Yeah. Leandro Calrissian. I assume that's a Star Warsian last name. It says, one would think being married to a literal supermodel and being rich and president would be plenty. It's not enough. Greed, you cannot satiate greed. Think about it. When Joe Rogan was like, Elon has $1 billion, he doesn't want your money. It's like, then tell him to stop taking our tax money for SpaceX. Please tell him to stop. If he doesn't want our money, why does he keep getting our tax money? Why does he have all these government contracts? Why? If he doesn't want our money. He does, because you can't satiate greed. That's why RM is the best. Josh Cruzen. He is. He absolutely is the best. I can't express how much I love RM Brown. He is, if you want to know my kind of comedy, if RM Brown and Tim Robinson did a TV show together, or like a podcast, I would probably not stop watching it. Sick fake title. Oh, the big Brett. A lot of people named Brett. It's a weird name. Brett. Berate. Here we go. Tosses the charge against Luigi. Good, because that was, they were padding the charge. They would trying to, make it look more intimidating than it was. And a lot of people said, hey, this is the year of our Lord 2025. Could this happen with the new regime? That's anti-worker, anti-people, anti-anyone except the people on their team at that moment. I want you to realize that. That's why I showed this meme of Rancy Nagin. Because, she was against all these. They're against everyone, including you. If they think, like, that's what I want you to understand. There's no loyalty. They have no loyalty. Where the wind blows, where Trump farts, that's where they go. Okay? And if you happen to be late or catch it at the wrong time, or even if they interpolate you to be not as diehard, I mean, you can hear it. Trump's done interviews. He goes, is that guy on our team? Is he on our side? Okay, yeah, then I like him. I think they were talking about Shane Gillis. Because they want you to think of this team mentality, which, what team is that? Just want to ask you, because it's not America. They don't care about America. They don't care about anyone besides the people that are worshiping them at the time. And that means you will be the next victim. Oren Brown is funny. Would recommend checking him out if you haven't. Yeah, you know what I got to do? Because I keep, like, Gary's Economics down there, Fred Hampton Jr. I keep some links always down there. The AFL-CIO CEO tracker, so you could see how much compared to the median worker. Just a few decades ago, it was like 10 to 20 times the median worker. Now it's 6,000 times. And that's reality. And people are just okay with it. They're like, yeah, they worked 6,000 times harder than you. Really? Interesting. Again, you've been propagandized to hate your neighbors, hate your community until they own it all and we just rent it all back from them. But I got to get a link to an RM Brown video and keep it down below. Bizzleby. I like that info. I can't pronounce that name. Oksishi. I'm very sorry. While you're picking sides left and right, you're forgetting about a larger variety of people that don't want to pick a side either way. As long as you keep vilifying the other side, it makes listen to you even less. Well, here's the thing. I hate sides. Again, I've never been a registered either side. I am very clear. I am biased. My side is the people. And it's very unfortunate that all of us, including myself, have been propagandized. And you have to deprogram yourself. But here's the thing. America clearly has two sides. And what I try to do here is show them that. And when you show them that, you have to address it. So you have to address that the red side or the blue side, both are equally not for you because they work for their puppet masters, the corporations, the investors, the private equity. Burgers and Tasty says, what is Grindr? Well, if you go to a Republican convention, you'll find out because the app goes down whenever a Republican convention is down. So that's what it is. You should ask your Republican friends. I don't know why they love it so much, but that's the news. Very unfortunate that there is another side to the general well-being of people. Michael O, I agree. That's my sentiment. If we have a mission statement, it's so unfortunate for me as a parent, as somebody who loves my community and loves to see people do well and pursue what they love. It's so unfortunate that there is another side to the general welfare. I'm even going to add that word, the welfare of people. Somehow welfare has become a horrible word. You shouldn't want good welfare. It's like, well, that's what all the Scandinavian companies are. They're the happiest. Burgers and Tasties is just like, it's always weird to me when people come in the chat and they say all the things. I'm not going to repeat it, but some of these things in the live chat are just, like, hey, what about this thing? What about this thing? And they're always kind of like hinting at some kind of perversion. And it's like, if that's what you're doing all day, if you're going into comments and saying that stuff, I'd imagine that's the only thing on your mind. It's more telling about what you're commenting than anything. I understand you're asking these questions, and if you're, well, I don't know, because America is just in a dire state. But if that's the only thing on your mind, I don't know what to say, man. It's weird. It says a lot about you, not me, you. I want you to understand that. And I always say I'm your vibe coach, because with some of these people, I got to be a vibe coach for them. Maybe they're young. Maybe they got swept up into the alpha man skibbity-rizma universe. But I got to deprogram them. Because if you keep saying something people are going to go, what is with that guy obsessed with the whatever it is, XYZ? I want you to understand that. You need to comprehend that you seem obsessed with all these things you keep listing. So it's just really weird. And we're addressing the person who made the grinder comment. He just keeps going down the list. So it's like, listen, man, again, America, land of the free. I know there's one political party, the red political party, that really wants to suppress that and doesn't believe that it should exist. Maybe if you're in that persuasion of political party, so it's just seeping out of your pores every second you type, I just want to encourage you to just go be you, man. Go be you. You know what? I ain't judging here. You know, I'm a big advocate. If this is the land of the free, you be who you are. So it seems like it can't stop seeping out of your pores, and you really need to like go do that, whatever it is, man. But you keep putting it in the chat, and I just want to encourage you to go. Stop asking me about it and just go. The internet's a wonderful place. You can go make some friends that are into that same stuff. Okay. Who do you think could keep a secret longer, Republican or Democrat? Well, I think they've both kept an open secret for a long time that they want your vote and they don't work for you. Public service is not that anymore. But it's so funny, you know. I really, I'm really entertained sometimes with the chat when people come in, say all this weird kind of leaning on being a pervert stuff, and then I'm like, you understand, you just look like a weirdo. Like, you don't. Okay, I need you to comprehend that. And if you are, listen. If you're gay, that's fine. If you're just a weirdo and you're like poking around at I don't know what, you know, whatever it is, man. As long as it's all in the up and up. Let me just say that. Maybe a Republican. Maybe that's what it is. And that stuff I got to condemn because they are very much PDF files. That's why they're protecting them. But, well, they all, you know, I don't think they understand that their accusations are admissions, you know? And the thing is when they keep, and he wasn't even saying he was gay. He was asking about Grindr, something else, and something else. I don't know. I'm not going to read it. But the thing is like, if that's who you are, man, just be that, you know? Say, hey, are you accepting of gay people? I would say, yeah, love you. Be you, man. But if you're just going to keep sniffing around a weird area and trying to make it like more weird and more weird, let me tell you, because maybe nobody said this to you. Maybe other people, you know, think it's funny or get upset. I'm just going to say it really reflects weirdly on you. Very much so. There's a reason types of corn is searched more in the South. Well, you know, the old saying, they like to eat corn the long way. Right off the cob. All right, guys. I got to go do some stuff. But I wanted to stop by because I thought that was big news. I couldn't believe the judge dismissed that charge. So I'll keep you up to date on the next court appearance. He had one today. The first degree charge was dismissed. Still has the state charges. And if you want to read the link down in the description, don't forget Trump is on the list. Don't forget, don't let it be a distraction. He is on the list, best friends with Epstein. And if you support him, you're supporting everything he did with Epstein, their friendship, him hiding it. So just remember that. We can condemn it. We can collectively be like, we're against this. But we got to come together as Americans. It's your American duty. All right, guys. Good to see Desi Corvus. Corvid is a crow. Mang, Bandito, Michael O. A lot of people stopped by. Alma, Akshi, Lady Wiser. A lot of people. If I missed you, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to. But much love to you. Be kind to each other. J Money. Be kind to each other, okay? Be kind to each other. Love one another. Guess what? Stop thinking, what about me? Or is my tax dollars going to pay for it? And think, we can make this world better tomorrow. We can. It could be so much cooler, so much better. You know, let the robots do our jobs. We'll go paint and do art. Much love, much respect. Hit subscribe, notification.